The people closest to you work hardest against your success. Think about the last time you shared an exciting goal with friends. Notice how they always find reasons why it won't work. This isn't coincidence or concern, it's systematic sabotage. Most friendship advice emphasizes loyalty, support, and celebrating each other's achievements over time. Why do your closest friends show more energy when you fail? Support appears genuine because friends express concern and offer helpful reality checks. But what if these reality checks systematically destroy your confidence and ambitions? Think about your friends' reactions when you announced your biggest dreams recently. Did they immediately offer encouragement or find reasons you weren't ready? The sabotage operates by disguising discouragement as care while protecting their social position. If you want to understand why friends undermine success while appearing supportive, subscribe to Prof. Jung Explained and share this with someone whose dreams friends questioned. They need to see why social circles resist individual advancement consistently. The system creates different relationships with success depending on your social positioning approach. When we say friendship support, we mean different responses based on hierarchy maintenance. For threatened friends, your success means potential abandonment and status loss within groups. They discourage risk-taking through concern and practical advice that prevents advancement. They frame discouragement as protection while actually protecting their position within dynamics. For secure friends, your success means shared celebration without threat to relationships. They encourage risk-taking and provide support during challenging periods without sabotage. They understand that individual success can benefit everyone rather than threatening stability. Think about which friends encourage your biggest dreams versus those who caution. Consider whether their advice protects you or protects their comfort with dynamics. This explains how different friendship approaches affect individual achievement and group dynamics consistently. The difference isn't about caring versus not caring, but security versus threat. But here's where it gets interesting about social dynamics and success prevention mechanisms. The sabotage doesn't just discourage dreams through negative feedback and practical concerns. It actually prevents people from developing confidence necessary for achievement through criticism. When friends consistently point out obstacles and risks, they create psychological dependency. This creates what psychologists call learned helplessness, where people need group approval. Meanwhile, supportive friends encourage independent thinking and risk-taking that builds confidence. Consider how your friends' feedback affects your willingness to pursue challenging goals. Does their advice increase your confidence or create doubt about capabilities? The sabotage becomes sophisticated when examining how it handles achievement, celebration, and recognition. Friends often provide lukewarm responses to success while offering enthusiastic support during failures. This response pattern trains people to expect more attention from problems, difficulties. The celebration disparity prevents people from associating success with social rewards effectively. Problems receive more attention and sympathy than achievements receive celebration and recognition. Meanwhile, truly supportive friends celebrate achievements enthusiastically and provide comfort during difficulties. Do you receive more attention from friends during failures or successes? What happens when you try to share achievements versus problems consistently? The sabotage exploits what behavioral economists call social comparison theory in group dynamics. People maintain self-esteem by ensuring others remain at similar status levels completely. More individual success threatens group equality and creates insecurity about relative positions. This comparison prevents friends from genuinely supporting advancement that might create hierarchy. Keeping everyone mediocre feels safer than risking individual advancement and group disruption. Meanwhile, secure people understand that other success doesn't diminish their value or position. The sabotage creates what psychologists call dream crushing, where aspirations get systematically discouraged. Friends provide realistic assessments that emphasize obstacles rather than possibilities for achievement. This realism prevents people from developing unrealistic confidence necessary for breakthrough success. Dream discouragement also prevents people from learning through failure and iteration that builds expertise. Meanwhile, supportive people understand that unrealistic dreams often lead to realistic through learning. They encourage attempts rather than preventing them through practical concerns consistently. The sabotage creates confidence erosion, where self-doubt increases through repeated discouragement and criticism. Friends point out past failures and current limitations rather than potential capabilities. This erosion prevents people from believing they can achieve challenging goals successfully. Confidence destruction becomes problematic when people internalize friends' doubts about their capabilities completely. They begin seeing themselves through others' limiting beliefs rather than developing independent assessments. Meanwhile, supportive people help build confidence through encouragement and possibility thinking rather than limitation. But something more sophisticated happens with social dynamics and identity protection in relationships. The sabotage doesn't just discourage individual success through practical concerns and criticism. It creates identity threats where friends feel abandoned when others advance beyond boundaries. Friends often express concern about change rather than celebrating growth and development. This concern prevents people from evolving beyond their current social circle expectations. The protection also maintains group identity by preventing individual differentiation and advancement. Meanwhile, secure friends understand that growth enhances relationships rather than threatening them. They encourage evolution while maintaining connection rather than preventing change through emotional manipulation. The sabotage handles what sociologists call social leveling, where group members prevent individual friends create subtle pressure to maintain status quo rather than supporting advancement. This leveling prevents anyone from rising above the group's collective comfort zone. Level maintenance also ensures that no one feels left behind by others' success. Meanwhile, healthy groups celebrate individual achievement while maintaining connection and mutual support. They understand that lifting individuals benefits everyone rather than threatening group stability. The sabotage also exploits what psychologists call imposter syndrome reinforcement in achievement psychology. Friends emphasize luck rather than skill when acknowledging others' success and accomplishments. This emphasis prevents people from internalizing their achievements and building sustainable confidence. Luck attribution also prevents people from understanding that success results from effort rather than. Meanwhile, supportive people acknowledge both effort and achievement to build confidence. They help people internalize success rather than dismissing it through external attribution. But there's something even more sophisticated happening with friendship dynamics and success psychology. The sabotage doesn't just discourage achievement through criticism and practical concerns about capabilities. It creates emotional manipulation where people feel guilty for wanting more success. Friends express hurt feelings when others pursue goals that might change dynamics. This emotional pressure prevents people from prioritizing individual growth over group comfort. The manipulation also creates false choice between friendship and personal advancement through guilt. Meanwhile, genuine friends support individual growth while maintaining emotional connection through change. They understand that guilt prevents growth rather than preserving authentic relationships over time. The sabotage addresses what economists call opportunity cost blindness in social decision making. People cannot calculate the cost of staying mediocre to maintain friendships effectively. This blindness prevents recognition that social comfort often prevents individual advancement and achievement. Cost blindness also prevents people from understanding how limiting relationships affect long-term outcomes. Meanwhile, successful people can evaluate relationship costs versus individual advancement benefits clearly. They choose supportive relationships that enhance rather than limit their potential for growth. The sabotage also exploits what behavioral scientists call social proof dependency in achievement. People seek validation from friends rather than developing internal standards for success evaluation. This dependency prevents individual achievement assessment independent from group opinion and approval. Social validation also prevents people from pursuing goals that friends don't understand, appreciate. Meanwhile, independent people develop internal success metrics rather than seeking external approval. They can pursue meaningful goals regardless of social understanding or support. But perhaps most insidious involves how friend sabotage affects goal setting and achievement planning. People who experience consistent discouragement often lower their aspirations to match expectations. This limitation prevents them from discovering their actual capabilities through challenging pursuit. Sabotage also creates what psychologists call achievement avoidance, where people stop sharing goals completely. People learn to keep dreams private rather than facing social resistance. Meanwhile, supportive environments encourage ambitious goal sharing that builds accountability and encouragement. The sabotage creates social isolation, where successful people lose touch with advancement. This isolation prevents learning how achievement actually works in practice, rather than theory. Limited exposure keeps people dependent on friends' opinions rather than developing independent judgment. Isolation becomes problematic when people cannot find examples of others who achieve goals. They rely on friends' limited experience rather than seeking broader perspective, achievement. Meanwhile, successful people actively seek relationships with others who support and understand advancement. The sabotage works by providing social comfort while preventing individual achievement and growth. It allows people to feel supported while remaining limited by group expectations. The system provides belonging while preventing the individual advancement that could create fulfillment. People experience friendship satisfaction while missing opportunities for growth and achievement. Meanwhile, actual support requires encouraging individual advancement while maintaining genuine connection through change. The trap perpetuates because people who break free from limiting friendships often advantages. They become advocates for supportive relationships while overlooking social costs. That advancement, the successful examples, obscure people who sacrifice growth to maintain comfortable social dynamics. And remarkably, the sabotage has convinced people that true friends always provide reality. When examining relationship patterns reveals that supportive people encourage dreams rather than them. Limited people need growth-oriented friendships rather than just social comfort and familiarity. The sabotage represents effective mechanisms for converting social support into achievement limitation. It transforms friendship into advancement prevention without requiring conscious malicious intent from friends. Understanding this sabotage doesn't mean abandoning all friendships, but recognizing relationship effects on goals. It means choosing relationships that enhance rather than limit individual potential for achievement. If you want analysis of how social dynamics affect individual success and achievement, subscribe to Prof. Zhang Explained. Share this with someone whose friends consistently discourage their biggest dreams. They need understanding why social comfort often prevents individual advancement and achievement. The sabotage also creates what economists call social capital hoarding, where groups maintain advantages. Friends prevent others from accessing opportunities or networks that might enable advancement. This hoarding ensures that group members remain dependent on existing social structures. Capital restriction also prevents people from developing relationships outside their current social circle. Consider how your friends respond when you meet new people or explore opportunities. Do they encourage expansion or create reasons to avoid new connections? The sabotage exploits what psychologists call fear of abandonment in social relationship maintenance. Friends worry that others' success will lead to relationship termination and social isolation. This fear creates unconscious resistance to supporting advancement that might change dynamics. Abandonment, anxiety also prevents friends from celebrating achievements that demonstrate growth beyond current relationships. The sabotage creates what sociologists call mediocrity enforcement, where group norms prevent excellence. Friends establish implicit rules about acceptable achievement levels within social circles completely. This enforcement ensures that no one rises significantly above the group's collective standards. Excellence prevention also maintains group identity by keeping everyone at similar achievement. The sabotage handles what behavioral economists call success punishment through social consequences. Social consequences also create what psychologists call tall poppy syndrome, where outstanding individuals, but there's something even more sophisticated about how friend sabotage affects personal development. The sabotage doesn't just discourage specific goals through criticism and practical concerns completely. It creates general risk aversion that prevents people from attempting any challenging endeavors. Friends often emphasize safety and security rather than growth and possibility. Thinking, this emphasis creates psychological dependency on familiar outcomes rather than exploring potential. The safety focus also prevents learning through experimentation that builds confidence and capabilities. Meanwhile, growth-oriented people understand that safety often means stagnation rather than security. They encourage calculated risks that lead to expansion rather than maintaining comfortable limitations. The sabotage addresses what psychologists call identity threat, where friends feel challenged. When others grow beyond current group identity, remaining members feel inadequate comparisons. This threat creates resistance to supporting individual development that highlights group limitations. Identity challenges also prevent friends from acknowledging others' capabilities that exceed their understanding. The sabotage also exploits what economists call zero-sum thinking in social achievement dynamics. But perhaps most devastating involves how friend sabotage affects self-concept and personal identity. The sabotage also creates what behavioral scientists call achievement procrastination, where goals consistently delayed. But there's something more sophisticated about how sabotage operates through subtle manipulation. The sabotage handles what sociologists call social conformity enforcement, where a group maintains standards. The sabotage also exploits what psychologists call comparison trap, where friends create competitive dynamics. People focus on relative position within groups rather than individual growth. This comparison prevents appreciation of personal progress that doesn't involve others. Competitive focus also prevents collaborative relationships that could enhance everyone's advancement opportunities. Meanwhile, collaborative people focus on mutual support rather than relative positioning. They understand that cooperation often produces better outcomes than competition within relationships. But perhaps the most insidious aspect involves how sabotage affects goal selection. People often choose goals that friends will support rather than goals reflect. This selection prevents pursuit of meaningful objectives that could provide genuine fulfillment. Sabotage also creates what economists call preference falsification, where people express interests that match social expectations rather than authentic desires, capabilities. Meanwhile, authentic people pursue meaningful goals regardless of social approval or understanding. Understanding this sabotage doesn't mean abandoning all friendships, but recognizing relationship effects on personal growth. It means choosing relationships that enhance rather than limit individual potential for achievement and development. If you want analysis of how social dynamics affect individual success and achievement, subscribe to Prof. Jiang Explained. Share this with someone whose friends consistently discourage their biggest dreams.